Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is The Surge Effect, and I'm your host, Mike Surge. This podcast will be talking about anything and everything, life in general to current events and past events, and all things about this beautiful and wonderful world that we live in. And this podcast, well, it'll probably have an effect on you. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of The Surge Effect. In this episode, just before we get started, I'll just name a couple of sponsors. Our first one is Love My Legs, Own Sound, Grey Bruce. Just go on the link below in the description, click on that link and head to their Facebook page and check out all the different leggings and now shirts that they have to offer. It's a great site. Also sponsored by He Shirts, She Shirts. Head on over to heshirtsheshirts.ca. Once again, in the description below, click on the link. And this company is more than just a t-shirt company. They sell all kinds of other clothing as well. Check them out. All right, so let's get started with the Surge Effect. Thanks everyone again for tuning in. It's much appreciated. In this episode, we are going to talk a little bit about the video from the other day with Tucker Carlson and what happened in the House the other day, a little bit between Pierre and Trudeau. And then I'm going to show you a little clip from one of the committees that are discussing the Bidens and what's going on there. So it's going to be a quick little podcast. Just going to try something a little bit different this time than my usual setup. So I'm going to be playing some videos and possibly talking through them as I play them as well. So just before we get started, once again, like I said, I got a Tucker Carlson video here, and it's the one that he released the other day on Twitter, I believe. So I'll just cue it up here, and we can watch it together, and we'll go from there. So just bear with me here.
You can't have a free society if people...
how it started off there. Here we go.
Can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about. But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
So, kind of nailed that one, didn't he? Right? Free speech. Free speech, of course, First Amendment right down in the States. And free speech in Canada, it's in our Bill of Rights, of course. It's not the exact same thing as it is in the States. People always kind of get the two confused because we have what's called freedom of expression down in the States, of course. Like I said, First Amendment is their freedom of speech. But whether you like Tucker or whether you don't like Tucker, I kind of liked him because he kind of shows you the both sides of it. And of course, with Bill C-11 being passed up here in Canada, what's going to happen with Fox News? Who knows? Of course, Tucker's not there anymore, but they're talking about banning Fox News up here in Canada already. The CRTC already, they're mulling it around supposedly, taking away from the cable networks and what have you. So whether they do or whether they don't, I have no idea. But there's Bill C-11 for you. They're already starting to control what people hear and say and do on the internet. So. Anyway, that was didn't take them very long to start initiating those things. So anyway, so let's now I'm just going to show you a video of Pierre Poilievre asking some questions in the House in regards to our passports and the changing that they were doing with the passports.
Our history.
In Canada. So just before I cue this up here, just give you a little bit of backstory. So. Of course, the Canadian passports, we have pictures on there. And now the Liberals, of course, want to change those pictures. So this video here is Pierre Poilievre in the House of Commons the other day asking Trudeau in regards to our passports. So let's see what he has to say.
Why is he deleting the 3,598 Canadians who gave their lives so that Canada could have freedom and victory at Vimy? He's erasing them, and with that, he is insulting all of our veterans.
3,598 soldiers lost their lives at Vimy Ridge. And now they're going to take that picture of Vimy, which is part of Canadian heritage, out of our passport.
The Prime Minister, why will the Prime Minister not stand up for our history, get connected to reality, and keep the images in our passport that make us so proud to be Canadian?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Right now, Mr. Speaker, veterans across the country are being reminded of what the Conservatives did.
I'm often reminded of when the veteran that lost his leg out west asked him a question a few years ago about money. And Trudeau said that the veterans are just asking more than they could give, that the government could give. I often think about that whenever Trudeau talks about veterans.
Around veterans. They wrap themselves in the flags and the symbols anytime they can. But in fact, they nickeled and dimed our veterans. They used them for photo ops. They shut down 9 veteran service offices across the country so they could try and save a little money through cuts. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives have always disrespected veterans while they wrap themselves in the imagery. We're going to continue to deliver for the veterans every single day. Here it is.
Our history. Why is he deleting the 3,500?
Got a little fired up there towards the end. He started doing a little bit of acting there towards the end, I think. But anyway, to the follow-up of the next question that Pierre is going to ask, I'm just going to cue this up here as well.
Despite that high school drama.
And we'll see what Pierre has to say on this next one here. All right, here we go.
School drama production, Mr. Speaker. He just closed every single veterans office in Canada by causing the biggest strike.
Talking about being a drama teacher, of course, that's what he did before he got into politics. He was a drama teacher, so he got a little dramatic towards the end there. He just mixes politics and drama.
In Canadian history, but back to the passport.
Order. Okay, there seems to be some excitement building. I want to nip it in the bud. We're here to have a clear debate, which means when someone's speaking, not everyone shouts regardless of whatever the side is. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition from the top, please.
This is the new passport they're so excited about, Mr. Speaker. They erased Vimy Ridge to put in an image of a squirrel eating a nut. They
replaced the picture of Vimy Ridge Monument with a squirrel eating a nut. Whoa.
Erased Terry Fox, a guy who ran halfway across the country to fight cancer, to put in a man raking leaves. And they erased Quebec City in order to put in what appears to be an image of a boyhood prime minister swimming at Harrington Lake. Could this Prime Minister be any more out of touch with Canadians?
The Right Honourable.
He is so far out of touch with the Canadian people. It's unreal. He always says he has our backs and he's always there for Canadians, but he's not. Actions speak louder than words. Anywhere in life, anything you do, actions. You can do this all you want, but if you're not actually doing something to back it up, it's just lip service. And every time in the House when they're asking questions, that's what's happening with Trudeau. Or any of the other ministers for that matter. They ask questions, or get asked questions, and they can never answer them. And Trudeau can't even answer a simple question like that. So why is he taking the pictures down? Why is he taking the picture of Vimy Ridge down? Or Terry Fox? Terry Fox. Every single Canadian knows who Terry Fox is and what he's about. And if you don't know about Vimy Ridge, I suggest you go and check out Brave. It's a browser. Type in Vimy Ridge. Go learn a little bit about Vimy Ridge and Canadian history. And he's going to get rid of that picture of the Vimy Ridge Monument. So future generations will see a squirrel playing with a nut. It just boggles my mind. Anyway, moving forward, the next video clip I'm going to show you here, it's about 5 minutes long, but it's well worth the listen. And now this is from the States, of course. A lot of things going on in both Canada and the States. Right now, the one House committee is looking into the Bidens, Joe Biden and his whole family, in regards to all the money that has been thrown around in different LLCs down there. Anyway, I'm going to play this video, and it's pretty much self-explanatory. This was just the other day as well in our House of Commons. The same, I think it was May the 10th. So this was happening May the 10th, I believe, as well down in the States. They had a press conference, and this is one of the fellows that was talking. Excuse me. What a great speaker this guy is. His name's Byron Donalds, and he explains a little bit of what's going on. So let's just cue this up, and we will have a
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for being here, everybody. Look, a couple things. First, what we're seeing here, what we're witnessing with the Biden family, frankly, is just a web of concealment, of deception. A lot of people would say corruption. But let's be very clear. You have this many companies involved, this velocity of transactions, size of transactions. Like my colleagues have said, this is not how normal businesses operate. I had the ability with Chairman Comer and other members of the committee to go over to the Treasury building and review documents. And having read those documents, one thing became pretty crystal clear, that there were many people who had serious questions about the transactions and about the velocity of these transactions, and they either get very, very deep into concealment, hiding money, shifting money, and for the purpose, we don't know, because one thing everybody in this room and the American people definitely know is that the Biden family doesn't really have a business. There is no business structure around this family except politics. And since Joe Biden has spent decades in the Senate, served 8 years as vice president, and is now president of the United States, and the family's getting money.
Yeah, that's about 50 years for Joe Biden, ballpark. This guy's a lifer. He has been in politics longer than anyone that I know, and hasn't really accomplished shit. But he has all these LLCs. He has no goods, no services, and all these LLCs. And he's been in politics for 50 years. Anyway, let's carry on.
From various countries and foreign businesses through various shell companies and this web of LLCs. I mean, guys, you in the press, this is easy pickings. I'm giving you Pulitzer stuff here. Like, all you have to do is literally look at our memo and see the level of detail upon which they have created this.
So he's telling the media that are there in front that the information that they've given them, it's Pulitzer stuff, right? All you got to do is do journalism. They just have to do their job. But for some reason, in Canada and in the States, journalism's dead. These people in mainstream media, they're not doing their job. Ask the tough questions. Good, bad, ugly, right, wrong, indifferent. Just get the information so people can find out what's going on and they can figure stuff out themselves. But this is really blatant. This is blatant stuff. Like, you just have to use your head.
And it's very, very frustrating. We have now been able to clearly see that the Biden's associates, like Rob Walker, Eric Sherman, has been discussed, created at least 16 companies.
16 companies.
While Joe Biden was vice president of the United States. 16 companies created while he was vice president.
Unbelievable.
Now the list is 20, and as we continue our investigation, that list is growing.
Now they found 20.
And like I said before, the question is to serve what purpose? And the purpose of all these companies being created is to conceal money that the Biden family has been gaining because Joe Biden has been sitting at the upper echelon of our politics for almost 5 decades.
50 years.
That is the entire purpose here. Here's an example of what I mean. You have Rosemont Seneca Partners, Rosemont Seneca Advisors, Rosemont Seneca Technology Partners, RSP Holdings, RS TP2 Alpha, RSTP2 Bravo, Rosemont, Seneca, Thornton, Rosemont, Seneca, Bohai. I want to make sure I pronounce it right. Bohai, Bohai. And the list goes on and on.
Rosemont. They have a name with Rosemont. Every other LLC they have is Rosemont. What the heck's going on?
Cycling through this many companies serves no legitimate purpose. And as somebody who actually worked in banking, I did that long before I came here. Whenever there was like this many companies just laying all over the place, and you see wire transfers and cashier checks over here going to random members of the family for no apparent purpose at the size and velocity at which all of this was being conducted, the only logical conclusion of a financial professional is you are concealing money. Let me restate this. You are concealing money from either the IRS or from credit agencies or from other people in general. That's the only reason you set up a structure like this. Some of these companies were connected to Hunter's personal professional company, Oswego, or Skinny Atlas, Scale Atlas, however you want to pronounce it. And the list goes on. And Mr. Biggs, he talked about Hudson West 3 and some of those other issues that were going on as well. One thing I want to make sure is that all of this has happened and Joe Biden is aware. Nobody in this room can logically sit here and say that the President of the United States had no idea that these companies were being formed while he was Vice President of the United States. And I will add you, he was probably in better mental shape then than he is.
Think of that for a second. If the roles were reversed, and whether you like Trump or whether you don't, I don't care. But if the roles were reversed, and this was Trump, forget about 20 LLCs. If he just had one LLC, he'd be done. Done. He'd be impeached the next day. Biden's got 20. You tell me there's not a two-tiered system down there in the States? It's crazy.
Today, I'll throw that out there. And so what this committee is going to continue to do is pursue this investigation. We are going to continue to document, and we're going to provide that information to all of you in the press. So to help you, and frankly, like Congresswoman May said, and probably help the DOJ along with their investigation. One quick note, it's interesting that the Department of Justice has been investigating Hunter Biden for quite some time, and we seem to just never really get anywhere. And so I think that's also interesting as well. I wonder what's going on at the Department of Justice. But that being said, the bottom line is there is no real business here. None. And let me also say this, because I know there are many in this room who wanted to go down all the various schemes that our colleagues on the other side of the aisle accused the former president of. Be very clear. The former president actually had a business, very big business. You could say it was his name. You could say it was his buildings. You could say it was wine. You could say it was branding. You could say it was The Apprentice. But he had a very big and legitimate business, which everybody in this room clearly knows and understands and can point to and say, that's the thing, that thing over there. Joe Biden has no business except his position in politics. And it is the requirement of this committee to investigate that. We're going to continue to do that, and we're going to let the facts speak for themselves.
They're just going to let the facts speak for themselves. And that's what they should do. Just for the simple fact that 20 companies, that's crazy. And all they're doing is just shuffling money back and forth. Like I said, if that was Trump and if there was just one company, they would lock him up and throw away the key the next day. They would drag him through the court systems, because what happened to him just the other day, I'm sure that everyone's probably seen that about the lady that accused him of rape 30 years ago. And the court systems never found him guilty of the rape charge, but they said he sexually touching or something like that. So I don't know how they came to that conclusion, but anyway, he has to pay $5 million supposedly, and because he called her she was a liar or something like that, and that was defamation of her character, allegedly. So anyway, that's supposedly what he said. So anyway, like I said, on one hand, you got Biden with 20 companies, with all this money exchanging hands, with all his, even grandchildren involved, 7 different Bidens. And then you have Trump, on the other hand, has done what he's done, and he just keeps getting dragged through the court systems over everything. Every other day, there's a new indictment. But anyway, good luck with all that, folks. We'll keep our eyes peeled and find out what else is going on down there in the States as the days move forward in regards to all their stuff down in the States. So anyway, that's the end of this podcast. It was just a quick, easy one. Just trying a new format with videos and stuff and seeing how that works out, and seeing if I'm going to stick with this format or maybe go back to the other format. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see what happens. If you want to leave some comments below, feel free, and we'll move forward. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to The Surge Effect. Much appreciated. It's always appreciated the times when you subscribe to my channel and click the little bell, so whenever I put up new videos, you'll be notified, and you won't miss any new stuff that I put out there. I can be found on rumble.com. Just go to Rumble and type in The Surge Effect. You'll find me there. You can also find me on any Android application or iPhone podcast application. Just type in The Surge Effect, and you will find me there, and you can download all my stuff that I upload to Podbean. That's where I upload all my stuff too. So once again, thanks again for listening to The Surge Effect. Until next time, everyone, cheers.